afternoon, everyone. I am Kathy Weaver. I am a senior lecturer in the College of Information Studies here at University of Maryland. I'm also the director of the Information Challenge Initiative, which hosts both the camps and the Information Challenge for the college students in February. We are very glad to have you here. Campers, what a great week you had. That was awesome. Parents, thank you all for fighting the construction to get your kids here. I know it was a challenge. I understand that every day there was a different challenge trying to get to campus. So thank you all for being here. I am going to take just 1 second to say that this is our third year doing the camps. First year was virtual. Last year we had one virtual and one in person, and they just seem to get bigger and better every year. So we really appreciate you participating, being here, enjoying it. It was really wonderful to see everybody's presentations. And now I would like to introduce our Dean, Dean Keith Marzullo. He's the Dean of the College of Information Studies and a huge supporter of the Information Challenge Initiative. We appreciate everything that he's done for us. When we, a couple years ago, said, we want to run a summer camp, and he said, yes. We said, don't you want to hear about it? He said, do it. So we did, and it turned out awesome. So anyway, thank you. Dean Marzullo.
She's right. That's pretty much what happened. So, welcome. As she said, my name is Keith Marzullo. I'm the fortunate person who gets to be the Dean of the College of Information Studies. I've been at this for 7 years, and I've just really enjoyed the way our college has moved forward, interacting more and more with other colleges and now with high schools. It's very exciting for us. I also not only say hello to the campers and their parents, we have some people here from the college as well, some faculty and staff here to help celebrate this event. So welcome to all of you for this. We all have a passion for information in the College of Information Studies. And Kathy started this idea back in 2018, I think, to start sharing that passion with other departments and other colleges in the area, and of course here at Maryland. And when she created, at the time it was called the Data Challenge, but now the Information Challenge. Really looking at ways to understand how to use information and data to try to change the world, do better things. And then in 2018, as she said, let's try to take this to high schools. And I'm now looking at the future leaders. I'm going to be retired someday, and you're going to be running this place. And so I'm delighted to see that you're all here learning about information science, data science, and how to move this all forward. This is wonderful. I know you're all going to be, well, actually for everyone, we're going to hear about your unique perspectives, about the things that you learned and you uncovered. I've already heard some stories about how you walked into some of these projects with ideas of what you're going to find out, and you quickly said, no, that's not right. Yes, welcome to the scientific method. That's what we do all the time, and it's always fun to find out when you're wrong and maybe what the real truth is. So I'm eager to hear the awards, hear what went on. So I'm going to stop talking. But first, I want to thank Sammy Kemper. Sammy, thank you. Sammy kept all the trains running, everything moving, and I already heard about the parking. I know about the laptops. I know.
All the things that cost money.
All the things that I'm the dean, I find out about the money, but it all worked out wonderfully. A lot because of Sammy's great work on this. Thank you again. And once more, I'd like to thank Kathy Weaver. Kathy, thank you. What she didn't tell you is that she came into my office in 2017 saying, I have this idea for a data challenge. And my answer is pretty much, what a great idea. And she turned it into a wonderful thing. Thank you. So, I'm now pleased to introduce the MC for today. His name is Jeff Hendrickson. He is a senior faculty specialist here at the University of Maryland's Department of Atmospheric and Oceanic Science and is earning his PhD in Information Studies. At some time, you should tell him about how the FBI is watching what he does. That's a very good story. He has worked in STEM fields from astronomy to biology. His passion for sparking interest in STEM by the next generation has taken him from Lowell Observatory. You know where Lowell Observatory is? It's in Arizona or Texas? Arizona, right. That's where Percival Lowell discovered, or Clyde Tombaugh discovered Pluto, which used to be our ninth planet until, yeah, we changed that. To the Center of Microbial Genetics at Arizona University, to our university here, and today's summer camp. Jeff has been a mentor and advisor this week for all our campers. Let's welcome Jeff.
Figure it out. Wow, you guys did amazing. It was a great pleasure to be out there and see all of your presentations, go table to table. I realize you've had a long day, a long week, but there was so much enthusiasm in everything that you told me, all the findings you had, and as our great dean just mentioned, mistakes. You were wrong about things, and that's okay. So I teach about climate, I teach about the weather, but I'm studying in my PhD work misinformation in the spread, how that spreads. And the idea that you can be wrong, the idea that the scientific process can start with wrong questions is really valuable to understand. And I wish more of the American people understood that being wrong is okay. We learn from our mistakes. We learn, it's not even a mistake, it's naivety that we start out with a question, we're curious, we think maybe this is happening, and we find out it's not. And that's okay. And then you develop new questions, which is exactly what all of your groups did. You took what you had, you grew, you gathered more information, you came up with some awesome findings at the end of each of your projects. I was truly impressed with each of those projects, and I really hope to see you all here at some point in the future in my class, in the university. You all really are the leaders of the world coming up. So we are awesomely thankful to have you here with us today. And now I get to do the fun part. We've talked about where the camp came from. We talked about what happened. I get to go and start to present some of the amazing work that you did and the awards for the different categories. There was a lot that went into the visualization, the hypothesis, the questions, the analysis. A lot of those skills came out today. And so we have, drum roll, ooh. Okay, the first award that we're going to do today is for the best hypothesis formation. Not hippopotamus, as Kathy and I were talking about earlier. If I can read without glasses, we are good to go. And our winner of the best hypothesis formation, which really is that foundation of the scientific process, is Team 3. So come on up. Come on up on stage. So,
Passing you all the mic.
yes, I get to ask questions of you all, and look who got the first mic. So, you won a prize for best hypothesis. And I talked about this being the foundation of that scientific process. What is a hypothesis?
A hypothesis is like a claim or prediction you're willing to make based off other trends that you see.
And what passed down slowly, what was your hypothesis that won this?
Carbon emissions will negatively affect growth of crops and
Did we not?
We had a failure to detect.
Let's try this again. So we in the back of the room can hear, because some of us don't have teacher voices. Go ahead. Try that again so they in the back of the room can hear what it was you did.
Carbon emissions will negatively impact growth of crops and crop yield.
Carbon is bad for crops. So, pass it down. feed the world? What findings did you have that are going to help us feed this world moving forward?
So carbon is causing long-term effects, but as like states, we can enforce laws to decrease carbon emissions like electric cars and things like that.
Good. Real quick. What was something that surprised you that you found today?
I think, because originally you think carbon would help the crops grow, but it's more so the extreme weather that it's causing that is making them not grow as much. So.
Very good. And we'll give you the easy question that feeds right off hers. Why is carbon good? Why is carbon good for crops?
For photosynthesis.
Yeah, they breathe carbon. All right, well, thank you all very much. You want the mic?
I'll play Mike.
You play Mike. Okay. Are we doing, you got photos?
We'll get photos at the end.
At the end. Thank you all very much. Congratulations. Ooh. Next up. So, we start off those questions, we start off this scientific process with a hypothesis. What do we think is going on? Let's jump now from that question. Let's kind of jump now to the end of the process. What could be the best results and recommendations that any of the teams came up with and how they presented that? And Team 5. All right. All right, guys, you did it. This is what really rubber meets the road. We have the basic research that begins with that question, and then we have, what do we need to do with it? How are we going to save this world? You get the start since you have the mic. What were your recommendations?
Our recommendations were just to simply stop nutrients from getting into the water, since these are what cause algae blooms, and these algae blooms lead to dead zones, which severely harm marine life. So if you implement filters to stop groundwater, which carries these excess nutrients getting into the lakes, then these dead zones don't happen.
Nice. Stop that filtering. That's a big piece here in Maryland, because all across our watershed, we flow down to the Chesapeake Bay, and that's a big impact. All right, why don't we pass the mic down? So, recommendations. What do you think, if you're a future scientist and you are doing this great work and you're coming up with these recommendations, what challenges do you think you might face in making these happen?
So, since you mentioned filters, if I was developing filters of those types, I would definitely say a challenge would be to make the message widespread for everyone to know how to combat it and how to get these materials out to everyone so they can do so.
That's awesome. All right. And you, let's see. We're dealing with these algae blooms. Are people affected by what's happening in the waters? How does this change in the water quality affect humans?
This affects humans a lot because, for one, it affects the marine life in the Bay Area. So what we studied were blue crabs, and if the blue crab population decreases, that means that the people who make a living off of fishing them and other things, that affects humans as well.
Awesome. Thank you. And the last one, what are you most hopeful as your generation becomes in charge over the next couple decades? And us old folks, we aren't in charge anymore, and you are the one leading the world. What are you hopeful for?
I would really like for a lot of marine life to be protected and for it to not be in danger of, human activities like excess nutrients, and for water quality to be really nice so the animals can just live there.
That's awesome. Thank you all very much. Yeah. Great, good job. And our next big award. I get surprised to see what our next big award. Ooh, fun part. This is a lot of what I teach in my coding classes. Best visualization and story. The science is interesting. There are people who really love to do science for the sake of science. Then there are people who love that science and communicate it. Communicate it to your parents, your friends, your community. That is a critical piece in that. And our winning team for best visualization and story is Team 4. Come on up. All right. Pass the microphone down. You're first in line. So, you did amazing developing visuals for this. What are you most proud of in what you made this week? In the story you told? Or what was the story? Actually, that would probably be important, wouldn't it? What is the story you told? What did you find?
We just researched how social vulnerability is impacted by air quality, and I'm really proud of the transitions I made in the Google slides. Yeah.
They had amazing stuff. I was asking them if any of them are going to be future teachers because presentations that they gave, amazing. All right, next down the line. So, she liked her transitions. What part of this process did you like?
We made two key term slides, one defining SVI and one defining AQI. So I thought the visualization of those slides was really cool, and it was really well communicated, like the vocab.
So what was that vocab? You used acronyms. How many parents are in the government out there that love acronyms? You just threw acronyms with no idea what they are. What are those acronyms you just said?
So SVI stands for Social Vulnerability Index, and AQI stands for Air Quality Index.
Great. All right, next down. So, when you graduate, what story do you want your life to tell people?
That's kind of deep.
That is deep. You thought I was going to ask a light question about what color was the best for your plot. No.
Well, I want to make it a difference that the world that I leave will be one that's more safe for the environment. The air quality should be better,
Good. And so you've looked around the world. You've looked around the news. You've seen visuals about climate. What would you recommend in telling a story to the journalists out there? What would impact you if they were to tell a better story about the climate?
If they were to put all of the factors that impact the climate into their stories, that would allow for Americans to, or just people in general, to be more knowledgeable of what actions actually harm the climate and not just the few that they already talk to everyone about.
Great. All right. Thank you. All right. You got to get your certificate. Don't run away without that. I keep walking away from my mic. Okay. So, Life as a faculty member is all about presentations, and that is the focus. You can develop great slides, you can do great science, but being able to present that, to be able to communicate and use those tools, use the data gathering techniques, use the visualization techniques, bring that all together to tell the story and present that to your audience is really key. And our winner today for this week of Best Presentation is team number 2. All right. And there, grab a mic. You guys had a lot of confidence. And that was great to give that presentation. And for something that you only spent a week on, when you came into this camp on Monday, what were your biggest questions about the climate? What did you want to know that you didn't know?
Probably wanted to know the most, like, what do we do the most that impacts the climate the most in terms of, like, day-to-day actions?
Mm-hmm.
I know people just say, oh, recycle, electric car, this, that, but what actually, like, will make the most difference?
That's important, because we really, we all have busy lives. We all have a lot going on, but what are those really key things that I can do personally that I can take responsibility for? Great. Go ahead and pass the mic down. What did your team come up with and recommend as those things that we should do?
So our second question was about how the emissions affect air quality, and the things that we recommended people do were about how to have less emissions, I guess. So things that we recommended were just your standard things like recycle, turn off the light when you're not using it, invest in technology such as maybe cars that don't produce too many emissions.
Come on, you guys were confident when I came up to your table. Okay. Presentation. What advice? So if you had a new group of high school freshmen coming in to do this next year, what would you advise them on presenting to the world, to present to the judges?
Presenting to the judge? I'll probably tell them to be, like, confident, like, in themselves, because, be prepared. Be prepared on what you're going to say. That's one. Like, maybe speak up when you're talking to them. That's pretty much it. Just, like, believe me. Like, you know what you're talking about. Just say it. Like, you have it in your head. Just say it.
All right. And along the line of just saying it, what would you like to tell those of us in the older generation? Kind of asked this before, but what is your advice? How should I change what I do in my life to make the climate better, to improve that air quality that you studied in?
Well, it's important to be aware of what can make it worse and what can make it better. I'd say like simple things like carpooling and recycling and just things that will help decrease the carbon emissions to overall just help affect the world to make it better in general.
Great talk. All right. All right. Here we one is that culmination of them all, where you have taken that hypothesis, you gathered that data, you developed the message, you communicated the message. What is the best overall? You took strengths in all of those pieces. And our best overall team, really? Team 1 got number 1? Team 1, come on up. You guys were destined from the beginning being Team 1. You know. All right, so you all gelled and brought all of those pieces together. How did you gel? What was that motivation that drove, or your guidance that drove you to be the lead group?
We just stuck together in everything we did. I mean, every slide we had, we all worked on, we all touched, and all our opinions were all of our opinions. Everything was as a group. Nothing was individual, and that's how we came out on top.
That's tough for a college that studies how people work together. We have faculty that work on that, and getting people to work together and have an equal share of the project is difficult, and you all really stepped up and did that. And I'm going to come back to this trend that I've been doing a lot. You spent a week studying climate. What if you were suddenly the leader of this country, and you didn't have to get things passed through a Congress that didn't want to pass things? If you could make changes to improve our climate, what would you do?
Well, first of all, I would make sure that the right information spreads, and what we found in our data wasn't actually that depressing like most of the news is, but I would make sure the news that spreads is accurate, and also we included in our presentation to work with other countries and continents to make the situation better, because we learned that it's not just us that's contributing to the climate, and other places are affecting the climate here today. So we just work with other countries, as we found in our presentation, and be open to negotiating, and yeah.
What are you most hopeful about? What do you see going well as you, over the next 20 years?
What do you mean, just like my life in general? Or?
Gee,
No.
I was thinking about climate.
I mean, life in general.
In the world of climate that we spent a week on here.
I think if we gain more resources and produce it and hand it out to more countries, we have unions like European Union and alliance groups like that. So I feel like if we use our groups effectively, I feel like climate change could change better, and our emissions would decrease.
All right, thank you. And the last question of the day. Now I'm going to go back to our dean and his ideas of deep, deep questions. What color best describes the climate, and why?
I would think gray, because that's usually how, carbon emissions are still increasing globally, and, most of those emissions are from factories and things like that, so, and the clouds are gray that come out of those factories, so that's what I would think.
I can deal with that. All right. Thank you all very much. That's awesome. And yes, climate's scary, but there's hope. And that's really that's that piece that I was hoping that you all would get. It's gray. It's not black and gloomy. It's not white and pristine, but there's hope. There's work to do, but we are heading there. Thank you all very much. And a round of applause to all of you. All of the teams did amazing, and I look forward to working with you all again as we go. All right, and now, before Sammy gets on stage, I'm passing it back to Kathy.
What are you up to?
What, you think I might know something? No, I'm passing to Kathy.
I've known you too long, darling.
For those of you that don't know, Jeff and Sammy are married. They're a nice, lovely power couple. And they're fun to be around. So I wanted to just step in for 1 second because Sammy is going to close the week, the event. I need you all to understand that if Sammy wasn't here, you all would not be here. Last year, when Donald and I were getting ready to run the camp and we needed help, Sammy had volunteered at the college level info challenge, and we said, we love her. We want to bring her in. And so we got permission to bring her in, and she figured out how to manage everything. There is a massive binder that if we printed out, it would probably be about this thick, that has to be approved by the university. It has to be approved by the state. It has everything you could possibly think of, where you're going to get dropped off, how are medical things going to happen, who approved everything. And Sammy figured it all out last year, and she figured it all out again this year. And she managed all of the paperwork and everything. So I just want to say, I know we've already thanked you, but I don't think people realize that any of the rest of us could have dropped off and you guys would still be here. If Sammy hadn't done such an amazing job, you guys would not be here. So I just wanted to say thank you one more time. And now, the great Sammy.
So, thank you. I will be quick. I have a couple of thank yous for this week. And the first big one is to Kathy and Donald for bringing me in, because teaching is what I love, whether it's high school students or middle schoolers or college students. It makes me happy. I'm sure you guys may have noticed that I tend to get really excited when I'm talking in front of a group of students. So yeah, that makes me happy, and I loved this week. So parents, thank you for letting us borrow your amazing high schoolers this week. They are fabulous, and they make me feel really positive about the future. They are an incredible group. Campers, thank you so, so much. You made this a wonderful experience for all of us, and the wheels would have come off the bus, and the bus would have crashed off a cliff if it hadn't been for my amazing interns. And they were the ones who worked with the campers all week long. So I need to call them out by name. We have Maxine Callanan, I'm sorry if I messed up your last name. We have Fatma, we have Edwin, we have Celine, we have Tasfia, and we have, sorry Tiara, I just flipped you two. Stand up, because it couldn't happen without them. And they are amazing, and I threw a lot of stuff at them. So thank you all for an amazing week. Thank you for doing an amazing job. We weren't sure how this was going to go. We figured we'd throw a really big data set at you and see what happens, and what happened was you were amazing. So thank you very much, and a round of applause for all of you for a wonderful week. Thank you. If all of our campers can come up and get pictures at the end, we would like a group picture and a picture for each of your groups, and then we will set you free. And there will be prizes in the back for all of you to pick up. You can choose what you want. You were all absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Oh, one last person I absolutely have to thank. A couple more. Our judges from today who volunteered, Dr. Beth Bonsignor is right there. They volunteered to come in on their free time. And last summer would not have happened without Carol Boston. And this summer she was also my I need a question answered, Carol, help, as always. So Carol is integral to making this happen. So thank you all for being here, and thank you to the college for letting this happen. Thank you, guys. Come on up and get your picture taken.